Hi, I'm Pastor Bucky Beach. I'm in Houghton, Michigan, way up here, Upper Peninsula, Northern Great Lakes Synod, Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, and Lutheran Campus Ministry. This is a sermon for the 12th Sunday after Pentecost. We are in the Northern Great Lakes Synod, and we have proposed that this year be a year of discovery into the doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery was issued by Pope Alexander VI as a papal bull in 1493, and it ensured Spain's exclusive rights to land that was discovered by Christopher Columbus. Any land not inhabited by Christians was available to be discovered, claimed, and exploited by Christian rulers in the name of Spain. It became the basis of all the United States Western expansion, and it resulted in the extermination of indigenous peoples and a new and different way of life that took from the land its very life, treating it like an inanimate object and a possession that had no life of its own, behaving in an opposite way of how native groups of people lived. These new arrivals used wealth and power to rule over people and land, a way of living to which there has never been an end. Today we are experiencing an awakening of sorts, that what the doctrine represents and what it led to need not continue to define us and how we live in the world. We can choose to face what happened. We can choose to lament and confess. We recognize what was imposed upon people and a land, and we are choosing to propose that by renouncing the doctrine of discovery, we are seeking new relationships based on mutuality of ideas and practice. And we can now ask how we can learn from and be in relationship with indigenous peoples and land. We can discover and learn about indigenous peoples and about ourselves. We can learn about our own gospel proclamation in a new way. It is with that in mind that I discovered a new way of understanding the keys of the kingdom Jesus gives to his followers, and what it means that, I quote, "Whatever is bound on earth is bound in heaven, and whatever is loosed on earth is loosed in heaven." Or as Eugene Peterson translates in the Message Bible, "No more barriers between heaven and earth. A yes on earth is a yes in heaven, and a no on earth is a no in heaven." It was an insight gained through an ancient teaching of the medicine wheel that is common among the first people of this land. And you see that I'm wearing a representation of this medicine wheel from both Ojibwa and Lakota traditions. The colors are different from tribe to tribe, but the teaching is common. The medicine wheel. Medicine is something that helps us learn. It makes us healthier. Medicine is sacred, a way of understanding companionship to what many traditions call God. Medicine is power that helps us understand who we are. The medicine wheel. A wheel is a mirror in which everything that exists is seen or reflected in relation to each other being in creation. So when you look into the medicine wheel, you see yourself and all things around you as you turn. It is the total universe. And at birth, all have a place on the wheel, and all things turn on the wheel. All things within this universe know of their place on the wheel, their harmony with every other thing, but it is only humans that have a determining power for good or for bad that determines the turning and balance of the wheel of life. The medicine wheel is what Jesus calls the kingdom, or heaven and earth. Power is medicine. Power is a key to heaven and earth and the balance. In Matthew 16, what does Jesus call Peter? He calls him the rock. So in this teaching of the medicine wheel, if I were to lay out on the ground a wheel, 8 positions represented by rocks, all living presences on the medicine wheel. And they become ways of learning of the wheel of life, or the ways of heaven and earth. The 8 pieces of stone or rocks would represent Mother Earth, the stars and the universe or sky, the Spirit, and people. Added to those 4 are the 4 directions that represent the 4 great powers. There is the east, represented by eagle. Its color is gold or yellow of the morning star. It is the place of illumination where we see things clearly, far and wide. The south is represented by mouse or coyote. Its color is green. It is the place of innocence and trust. It is the place of perceiving closely the nature of the heart. In the west, represented by bear, the color is black. It is the looks within place, the introspective nature of people. And the 4th direction or power is north, represented by buffalo, and its color is white. It is the place of wisdom. All things on the wheel are living: rocks, trees, 2-legged, 4-legged. Catholic priest Karl Starkloff once wrote, and I quote, "The basic religious attitude which underlies all these rituals is the consciousness of living in a world full of living things. But of all these things, only people have a determining power. People have keys which open and close. And that is why it is essential that we learn of our place on the wheel. All other beings have an understanding of their own place. They live as they were meant to live. We too must learn how to live. If we do not, the wheel will not turn in a balanced way, and there will be no harmony. The eternal importance of this teaching is recognized by science, especially by environmental science, and it's certainly recognized by indigenous peoples across the globe. And it strikes me that this is what Jesus meant when he said that in heaven and on earth, what we bind is bound, for good or bad. All power is one. The distinction arises in how it is used. Each of us individually and all of us together can look into these teaching mirrors to see ourselves reflected. And when we look into them, we learn our name and our identity. In Christian terms, this is our baptism. This is God recognizing and naming us and giving us a place on the wheel. And it is also a call to be the priesthood of all believers, as Martin Luther taught. A name is a symbolic meaning of an individual's medicine or gifts. Names tell of the individual's way of perceiving the wheel of life, of their place upon the wheel. And the name is who a person is. Jesus says, "You are Peter, the rock, and on you I build my church." God speaks each of our names and says, "You are the body of Christ. You are my body in the world." At birth, each of us is given a beginning place within these four great directions on the wheel. The starting place gives us our first way of perceiving. After we understand, then, our first place, we grow by seeking understanding in each of the four great ways. And when we do this, we learn to turn on the wheel as we walk through life, always seeing ourselves in reflection of or in relation to all things. We walk the wheel along with everything else. Joseph Epps Brown, the American scholar who wrote the book The Sacred Pipe, an account of his discussions with the Lakota holy man Black Elk, wrote, and I quote, "There was no separation in this understanding of nature, people's connection to the Great Spirit." A Chinese proverb states, "Heaven hears as my people hear, and heaven sees as my people see." Jesus said, "Whatever is bound on earth is bound in heaven, and whatever is loosed on earth is loosed in heaven." There are no more barriers between heaven and earth. In the understanding of indigenous peoples, there is no equivalent word for religion or prayer. One cannot separate religion from the everyday. It was all religion. It was all everyday. Tribal people worship, or reverence is a better word, or honor the sacredness of creation as a way of life. Not as a philosophy, not as a religion that you do sometimes, maybe once a week, maybe not. The closest expression of belief literally translates as the way you live. Christians reverence living elements like water and bread and wine. To us, they are both literally and symbolically God's life to us and for us. To many native people, it is the pipe. This is a piece of pipe stone. To many native peoples, it is the pipe that is their avenue for expression. Like we eat and drink as Christians in living remembrance and unity with Christ, with the pipe, people walk a living prayer. Feet resting upon the earth, and the pipe stem reaching up into the sky, and the body forming a living bridge between the sacred beneath and the sacred above. The sacred, called by many names because there are many languages, smiles upon us because we are now as one, earth, sky, all living things, the four-leggeds, the winged ones, the trees, the grasses together with the humans, all are one family, related to each other. And the pipe holds them together as we understand that water and bread and wine hold us. When we are baptized, named by God and received into a community, we acknowledge that we are the body of Christ, and we are given the keys to the kingdom, to heaven and earth. It is a great power and a great gift to see that this wheel turns in balance. Only humans have that power. We are rocks, like Peter. We are the body of Christ. With these keys, this piece of pipestone, we are custodians or stewards of creation. All decisions we make must be in consideration of all life. For what we do is bound in heaven and on earth. May peace be with you this day.